Hi, everyone. We're excited to have you here today to learn more about the Yammer roadmap. My name is Jason Mayans, and I am the Group Program Manager for Yammer.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve Wynn. I'm a Principal Program Manager with the Yammer Product and Engineering team. And Jason and I are super excited that you've joined us today to learn a little bit more about where we're taking Yammer. A lot's changed in the year that we've been together, and we want to take a moment just to talk a little bit about Yammer's influence on remote work. A lot of us are working in new ways, and we just want to take some time to reflect back on some of the changes that we've seen. We also want to make sure you're all up to speed on where we are with the year of Yammer. We released an all new Yammer interface, and we want to just make sure that you're all caught up on how to enable that new Yammer experience. And then Jason and I will take some time to make sure that you're up to speed on the new features and new capabilities that we're going to bring to Yammer in the coming year.
You know, Steve, when we said that 2020 would be the year of Yammer, we had no idea how true that would actually be. We called it the year of Yammer because, of course, we're building all sorts of new capabilities, a new experience in Yammer, integrations with the Office 365 suite. We knew we were doing a lot this year. But then, of course, everything changed.
Yeah, and once COVID came, we actually saw tremendous growth and opportunities for our customers to leverage Yammer more. We saw a 3.5 time increase in the number of key engagements that our users take within Yammer. So those are things like posting messages, liking messages. We saw a 5 time increase in the number of live event attendees. So many more of our customers were running their live events through Yammer to really get that broad reach. We saw a 2x increase in the number of views of questions that had a best answer marked. We also saw a 2x increase in the number of community membership joins across our Yammer user base. So definitely, Jason, we saw lots of great activity and lots of growth. But I just want to talk a little bit about how things have changed for you. So maybe you could just describe a little bit, how did your workday look pre-COVID?
Yeah, so Steve, you know, I'm somebody that usually worked in the office every day, and I was used to that whole routine, right? I would get up in the morning, I would shower at home, something that, you know, I still usually do. But then I would get in my car and start heading to work. On the way into work, you know, I'd stop at the coffee stand, talk to the barista a bit. He or she would ask me about my day, maybe my weekend, and you'd have that little connection. Once I got into work, I talked to my desk mates next to me. Hey, what did you do this weekend? What are you working on today? And I'd find out a little bit more about their lives and what's going on with their projects. And then a lot of my day when I went into work consisted of going into meetings, which in Microsoft really means going from one conference room to another room to another room. But you end up with these little periods in between where you're walking throughout the building, you're passing other people, you see someone you know. Again, you have a conversation where you learn something about what's going on in the company, or you just get to know the other person a little bit better. And I would say throughout the day, I probably talked to 50 or 75 people a day when I was working in the office. And of
Yeah.
course, you know, that's quite a bit different now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can probably relate to your experiences and miss those in-person interactions, Jason. Now that you're at home and you're mostly isolated, how are things different for you?
Yeah, well, when this whole thing started, you know, I'd get up, maybe I'd take a shower, I'd come down to my computer, probably have a Teams meeting right away to start the day. Because if I want to connect with anybody now, I have to set up a time to do it. I have to set a meeting to do that. And that's great. We have great tools to do that, and the video and the experience is quite good. But if you fill your day with meetings all day, you know, at the end of the day, I was really feeling quite exhausted.
Yeah, so that exhaustion that you feel, what do you think causes that? What do you think is missing?
Well, for me, really having these, you know, moments to encounter other people, to learn from others in a less structured way, and to just have these kind of serendipitous conversations, that was missing for me at first when we moved immediately into work from home mode. I was still very connected to my own teammates, but that broader sense of connection and belonging to the company wasn't there for me.
Yeah, I think we tend to really undervalue the value of some of those weak tie connections and relationships that we have in our lives. And especially now in this time where many of us are working isolated, maybe we feel lonely. We are perhaps missing some of those abilities to connect with those weak ties. And I think you and I have a firm belief that a platform like Yammer, a network like Yammer, really helps to substitute or create, fill that gap a bit, to be able to reach out to other people, to perhaps help you answer a question or to get a broader sense of what ideas might exist within the organization. How about you? How are you keeping up to speed with what's happening across Microsoft?
For me, Steve, engaging more deeply in Yammer has really helped me feel connected to something bigger than myself and really helped me feel like I belong to this larger organization. And Yammer is really about three things. It's about communities, it's about knowledge, and it's about engagement. In communities, I can connect with other individuals across the company that have similar interests or similar backgrounds to me. I can ask people questions on Yammer because today I can't ask somebody sitting next to me. Nobody's sitting next to me. So Yammer gives me a way to reach out and harness the knowledge of the greater organization. And lastly, I can connect on Yammer to find out what is leadership at the company thinking about. I can participate in live events, employee all hands, where I can learn what they're thinking about. I can ask questions and engage back. And Yammer really helps build this greater sense of connection beyond my immediate day-to-day work.
Thanks for those insights, Jason. So with a renewed focus on communities, knowledge, and employee engagement, we set out to reimagine and redesign the entire Yammer experience. And over the last year, our team has been hard at work bringing you innovation and new capabilities to the new Yammer. And at the core of the new Yammer is an entirely rebuilt user experience that is clean and simple to use. As corporate communicators and community admins, you asked for a bit more governance over the content that is in your network, and we delivered on that front. We also introduced new ways for leaders to engage through live events and the ability for them to create snackable videos in the Yammer mobile app, all while making sure we provide your employees ways to share their knowledge, insights, and expertise in engaging ways. We also brought the goodness of Yammer to places where your employees do their work across Teams, SharePoint, and Outlook. Fundamentally, we rebuilt the new Yammer experience for your employees to create meaningful connections through community, to share their knowledge, and to really feel like they are an important part and an engaged part of your company's mission. Now, for those of you that haven't yet enabled the new Yammer, it's not too late. Yammer admins can configure access to the new Yammer through the Yammer admin portal. Admins can enable the toggle in the suite header and choose the default experience for your network, the classic or the new Yammer. And once it's enabled, people in your organization will be able to view the toggle to see the new experience. Some of you have asked, when will you require everyone to be on the new Yammer? Well, you have a bit of time, but we want to make sure you know what we have planned. As I mentioned, you hold the keys to enable the new Yammer today, and we encourage you to do so. You or your Microsoft 365 tenant admins should have seen a Message Center announcement that we will be enabling the new Yammer toggle for all networks beginning in mid-October. What this means is that for those of you that have yet to enable the toggle, your employees will still default to Classic Yammer, but they'll start to see the toggle to opt in to the new Yammer. In Q4 of 2020, we'll plan to default everyone to the new Yammer. The toggle will still be available should you still need to toggle back to Classic Yammer for a few edge cases. And later in 2021, we'll remove the toggle entirely. But don't worry, we'll send Message Center updates before we take any of these actions. Now let's dig into where we're headed next. We're going to start with the Yammer homepage and the Yammer discovery feed. The discovery feed is one of those core elements of the Yammer experience because it brings together content from across your network into one feed that's tuned and relevant to your employees. With the new Yammer comes an all-new Yammer home feed. And this is the place for you to catch up on conversations that are happening in the communities that you belong to. The feed in Yammer serves two primary purposes. The first is to help you stay on top of communities, people, and topics that you might follow. Our updated machine learning algorithm has also now been tuned to show you some of the conversations from some of your favorite communities. We've also updated the look and feel of SharePoint articles so that when they're shared into the feed, they have nice, rich link previews. Sometimes you want to like something, but you want to go beyond a like. Well, with new Yammer reactions, you'll be able to like, love, laugh, celebrate, thank somebody for their contribution, or perhaps sadness is the right emotion. In this case, I want to celebrate our new Chief Marketing Officer. As I continue through the feed, you'll notice that we made additional improvements to show why something is showing in your feed. In this case, somebody I follow, Isaiah, has commented on this particular thread. Our updated Yammer mobile app across Android and iOS now brings you the same consistency across all of your devices. I can now view Yammer in dark mode. I can react to messages. I can also access all of my favorite communities right from the Yammer mobile app, all while I'm on the go. Do you have communities like this one? Maybe it's a food lovers community or a music lovers community. Well, these communities are great for your employees to connect on and engage on areas of personal interest like these. Sometimes conversations from these types of communities can overrun your discovery feed, and maybe you want to help your employees sort of curate communities like these from the discovery feed. Well, as a network admin of your community, you have the ability to mute a given community. When you mute this community, what it does is it removes it from our discovery algorithm. So those conversations will no longer show on the discovery feed unless I've explicitly opted in to be a member of that community, at which time I'll see those posts in my feed because I've chosen to be a part of that particular community. We'll also continue to improve the overall feed and conversation experience with nested replies. We want to help make threads and conversations easier for you to parse and easier to consume. We think nested replies are going to really help improve some of your AMAs or Ask Me Anythings or Yam Jams that we know you all love to run. We also heard your feedback that we could perhaps better use the space on the Yammer homepage. So in the months to come, you can look forward to some improvements to the home feed experience itself. For example, a distinct place for you to access your favorite Yammer communities. Also a dedicated section for the rest of your community memberships. We also want to help you better see what topics might be trending across your network, or maybe discover other communities that might be relevant to you.
Now that Steve has walked us through the Yammer homepage and the Yammer feed, I want to spend a few minutes talking through the improvements in the new Yammer that help community managers and internal communications professionals create, manage, and foster thriving communities within their organizations. Now, in this example, I have a leadership connection community in the new Yammer, and I am the community manager for this community. This community is a great example of a community you can use to help leaders and employees connect with each other, give a place for employees to ask leaders questions, and leaders to share what's going on in the company and what's on their mind. So as the community manager, I have an important message that I want to make sure gets out to everybody in this community. So I'm going to go ahead and write that message. We have an upcoming all hands happening on Friday, and we're going to introduce our new CEO. And I want employees to post their questions ahead of time in the event so that we can answer some of those. So to help them out here, I am going to create a link so that they know where to post their questions. All right. Now, because this is a very important message, I want to make sure that everybody in the community does see it. And so I want to mark this as an announcement. Now, when I post an announcement, what that really means is that everybody in the community gets notified. If they're in Yammer, they get a notification in their Yammer inbox. If they're using the mobile app, they get a notification in the mobile app. And you can see as I post this here that it shows that this is an announcement. In addition, if your users are using the Communities app in Microsoft Teams, they will also get notified. So here I'm signed in as a member of that community, and you can see I have something in my activity feed here that tells me that Megan posted an announcement, and I can interact with that directly right here within Microsoft Teams. And lastly, with our recently introduced Yammer integration into Outlook, if they don't receive this announcement through those other channels, they'll receive an email in Outlook. But that's not just a regular email, it's actually an interactive Yammer post. So here you can see that same announcement showing up right here in Outlook, and I can go like, I can comment, I can share on it, I can interact with it just as if I were using Yammer. Okay, now let me switch back to Megan, our community manager. So here's the announcement we had just posted. But I really, really want to emphasize this announcement. So the next thing I can do is I can pin this conversation. I select here to pin. And when I pin this conversation, what it ensures is that this conversation is always at the top of the page for anybody who comes to Leadership Connection. And you can see the indication there that it's pinned. Now, lastly, I also have responsibility for managing the Yammer network overall. And I want to make sure that everybody who comes to Yammer sees this important announcement in their feed. And in order to do that, I can select to feature this conversation. And what featuring a conversation does is it makes sure that everybody in their home feed will see this conversation. So I can set a date that this will display to and a time and hit continue. And you can see the new treatment for this post, blue background, blue featured conversation at the top that lets me know that this conversation will be featured in my network. Now, one of the enhancements that we're going to be creating around announcements is what we call priority announcements. And this really gives communications managers and community managers more control over that email that gets sent out to Outlook. So a couple of the enhancements here. First of all, when you go to create an announcement in the future, we're going to tell you how many people are actually going to receive that announcement by email. And we're going to give you an option to change that notification setting to determine whether or not you actually want members to be notified by email. So this just gives you a little bit more control around how those community members are reached. The all-company community in Yammer is really the place within the Microsoft 365 suite that scales that even the largest of companies, hundreds of thousands of employees, can come together in one place and have conversations and share with each other. And with the new Yammer, we've enabled you to customize this community more closely to your needs and your brand. So just like other communities, you can set and customize the cover photo here and the avatar. But I want to show you a couple of new options in All Company. First, when I go to settings, I can change the name of All Company. So maybe I actually want to use All Company as more of a corporate communications channel as opposed to just a discussion space. So I'm going to rename this to Contoso Company News because it's where I want to share the most important news going on with the entire company. Now, as I'm doing that, I may want to change who can actually start conversations in this community. And I have a couple of options. One is the default that all members of the community can start a conversation, comment, or reply to a comment. But I might just want corporate communications professionals and the managers of this community to be able to start a conversation. So for example, they could post a news article, but then enable the rest of the company to comment on it, react to it, like it, and discuss it. If I want to go that route, I can choose a restricted posting permissions where only admins can start a conversation. And then I go ahead and save that. And of course, you can see here that our name has changed for this community. Our customers have told us that leaders engaging in Yammer is really key to getting employees to engage as well. But you've also told us that from time to time, you need the ability to manage communications of leaders in your organization. So in this case, Megan is a communications manager for Patty. And Patty asked Megan to post a particular message about her arrival to the company. So here Megan can go into the Leadership Connection community and expand, and can choose to post as Patty. And when Megan does this and writes the message for Patty and goes ahead and posts this, you can see in this community that this message appears from Patty. Now, Megan posted this for Patty, but in Megan's Yammer inbox, you can see that that conversation is tracked. So if there are new conversations or replies that happen on that conversation, Megan can respond and is notified. In addition, if I switch here to Patty's account, in Patty's Yammer inbox as well, you can see this conversation. So Patty can know that Megan posted a conversation on her behalf. And of course, Patty can go in and participate directly as well. Now, it doesn't happen too often, but every once in a while we hear about organizations where somebody posts something that is inappropriate for their Yammer network. And you may want to let your employees know where to go if they want to report something that isn't appropriate. So in this example here, Nestor just posted that he was leaving the company, going to a competitor, and please apply for jobs at the competitor. Well, this really violates Contoso's solicitation policy. So I'm going to go report this conversation. And when I do that, I can provide a reason. It's inappropriate because of job solicitation. And it gives me a message here reinforcing my company's policy. And as the Yammer administrator, you can set that message. Now, when I submit that, again, it tells me that the report is submitted, and it gives me a message that, again, is customized to my organization about what the next steps will be on this message. Now, this generates an email report that gets sent to an email address that you specify for your Yammer network, and it also gets sent to the person who submitted it. Now, the email address that I specified in this case was actually attached to a Teams channel. So that report gets sent to this Teams channel that my communications team can then monitor and see these reports, discuss them, and decide if they want to take action. So you can see how, if you want, you can create this end-to-end workflow to enable your employees to report anything that might be against policy. And one last thing that I just want to stress here is that these controls that we have, the ability to leave all company open or restricted, the ability to enable corporate communications to post on the behalf of leaders, the ability to report conversations. These are all capabilities that you can choose to use or not. So, depending how open your organization is, what the culture of your company is, you can decide whether these are appropriate for you or if they're not. As we built the new Yammer experience, we listened to your feedback, and I want to share some of the other improvements we're making to the community's experience. So this is the communities page today, and this is where we want to take that page. So you can see some changes here, like a prominent community description, a clear entry point to invite members to the community, and the ability to kind of collapse those sections on the right side if you wish. So you'll see this page kind of continue to evolve based on your feedback. Additionally, with pin posts, one of the things we've heard is that at times these pin posts can take up a lot of room on the screen. So after you have viewed a pinned conversation, the next time you come back into that community, that conversation will auto collapse after viewing. So it just takes up less room and you can get to the rest of the feed if you wish. Lastly, we are improving the community discovery page, bringing that fully into the new design, and using the community cover photos to really give you a great way to distinguish between communities and determine which community you want to join. With live events in Yammer, companies can have employee all-hands events that let leaders share information with the employees, and employees have discussions and comment on it. So it really brings together the both best of video and Yammer conversations into one place. Now, these live events can be produced using either Microsoft Stream or through Microsoft Teams. But what I'm going to show you today are some improvements in the end user experience around live events. So this company has a live event going on right now. And one of the first things that you're going to see here is that we've increased the discoverability of live events through this banner that you see at the top of the discovery feed, letting you know that there's a live event going on right now. Now next, if I go ahead and click and view this live event, what you're going to see is our new side-by-side view for live events that really helps the video stand out. So on the left side here, you see the large video, and on the right side, you see you can ask a question or you can post a comment. And I can scroll through the conversations below. I can also filter them if I just want to view questions or maybe the unanswered questions or all conversations. So it really gives me a more engaging way to attend these live events within my organization.
A lot of our customers that have been using Yammer for many years now say that it's really sort of the brain of their organization because it's accrued so much knowledge over that time. And we want to help you tap into that knowledge in much more deep and meaningful ways. Let's take a look. You might have communities like this in your network where the common activity is really around people asking and answering questions. Well, sometimes people post questions, but they forget to mark it as a question. Well, we've introduced a new capability in Yammer for your employees to retroactively change their post into a question. And by changing their post to a question, now they get all the great benefits of question and answer, including the ability to mark the best answer of a thread. When that best answer is marked, it gets pinned to the top of the replies. Those best answers are easy for other people to find later on. But the primary activity in this particular community is indeed asking and answering questions. Well, maybe you want to make it even easier for your community members to do so. When you go to the settings for a given community, you'll see that you can set the default publisher type to a question. When you set the default publisher type to a question, when your community members go to post a message, it defaults it to the question post type. This makes it even easier for your employees to ask questions and get the answers they need to do their job. Sometimes it's not always clear what the best answer is within a given question and answer thread. Maybe you want to crowdsource it. Well, soon you'll be able to upvote replies within a given question and answer thread, collect all your responses, and mark the best answer just as you normally would. The next area we want to talk about is topics. Historically, topics have been a great way to connect together conversations that are happening across your network. Now, let's say I'm asking a question in the sales best practice community, and I want to add a topic to this particular question. As I start typing the words Mach 3, you'll notice that we determined that there's already an existing topic for me to add. But let's say I want to add a new topic, something to do with commercial range. I can create this topic here on the fly. And when I do so, I'm asked to provide a short description of what this topic is. When I create this topic, I automatically add it to this particular question and answer thread. And I'll go ahead and make this post. Now, perhaps I want to see more of the conversations that are happening around this topic, Mach 3. When I go to the Mach 3 topic page, I can see all the conversations that I have access to that are happening around this topic of Mach 3. We've also introduced a way for you to see just the questions that might be happening around this particular topic. Now let's go back to sales best practices. If you notice, over on the right-hand side, there's a new section for popular topics. This shows a listing of some of the most commonly used topics within this particular community. When I choose the Mach 3 topic from the popular topics panel, you'll see that it filters the community and shows me just the topics that are associated with Mach 3. We think we can do much better with topics. Last year at Ignite, you might have heard about Project Cortex, a rich way for you to connect knowledge across the Microsoft 365 suite. And here you see, when I hover over Mach 3, I get the Project Cortex card. I can click on it to see more details about what Mach 3 is about, see who some of the experts are, some of the question and answers that go along with this topic, any Yammer conversations that are related, any files and SharePoint pages that also might be associated with it. And when I get to the bottom, I get a nice rich graph that shows me how some other topics in my organization might be associated or connected. If I want to get to any of these question and answers from this Cortex page, I click on it and I'm immediately brought to the corresponding question and answer within Yammer. We're really excited about this Project Cortex integration because we think it takes advantage of that tacit knowledge that exists within your Yammer network. In almost every customer conversation I have, you almost always tell us that you want better analytics. Well, if we were doing this presentation in person like we normally do, I think this section would get massive applause. We're excited to introduce to you some of the improvements that we're going to be making to Yammer data and insights. Let's take a look at our all-new community insights. We've heard you. You want better data and analytics about activity that's happening in your communities. And our community insights have been totally refreshed, and we think it'll be your one-stop shop for data about your community. First, you'll see a timeline of activity for your community, and you'll notice that there are some updated visualizations for member and non-member posts, reads, and reactions. We also want you to have a better grasp of what's happening in your community around question and answer. The new question and answers insights gives you access to information about trends around new questions and new answers that are being created in your community over a chosen time period. We'll show you the ratio of questions marked with the best answer. And this chart shows the status of new questions posted in the selected date range. It also shows the number of questions without answers, those that have answers, and those that have a best answer marked. With an increasing number of live events being run in Yammer, community managers want to see which events are performing well compared to others. And the new Yammer Live Events dashboard will give you a summary view of the events that have been run in your community. And when I drill into a specific live event, I can see insights about the reach and engagement of a particular event. And here we see a timeline of engagement over the duration of an event. Demographics of where participants came from, whether it be location or department. And specific to the event's engagement, I'm able to see detail about the types of conversations that happened, what reactions people used, and data about the questions that were asked. We'll also provide a snapshot of the conversations and unanswered questions from the event. You probably want to have better insights about conversations that are happening in your network. Well, coming soon to Yammer will be our all-new Yammer Conversation Insights. With Conversation Insights, your employees will be able to see more detailed information about conversations they own. Community admins will be able to see data about conversations within their communities. And network administrators will be able to see data about conversations across the network. And now I can see the reach of a given thread, the total number of engagements on a particular conversation in terms of reactions, comments, and shares. Conversation trends show activity over the last 7, 14, or 28 days. I can see demographic information about the impressions we're making across various departments within the organization. I can also see which platform from which my employees are consuming this particular thread. If I take a look at the engagement details, I see some information about the diversity of reactions on this thread, some of the top comments, or even where this conversation has been shared across the network. Your employees work and access information in a variety of ways, and we'll continue to welcome your employees if they want to come to Yammer directly. But we also want to make sure that we accommodate the diverse ways in which your employees work and consume content. Let's take a look at the ways that we're continuing to extend the ways in which Yammer is available in Teams, SharePoint, and Outlook. Earlier this year, we introduced the all-new Yammer Community app for Microsoft Teams. With the Communities app in Teams, you can access all the goodness of Yammer directly from inside Teams. I have access to my feed, all my favorite communities. I can reply. All the things I can do in native Yammer, I can do inside of Teams. We've also brought the community experience to the Teams mobile app. Now your first-line workers can do their work in Teams and still have easy access to all of their favorite communities. We think your employees will love the integrated community experience, whether it be in Teams desktop or mobile. Soon we'll be introducing Yammer notifications in the Communities app. Teams will provide your employees with useful toast notifications that bring them right to your important announcements, all without having to leave the context of Teams. Maybe you want to dedicate a specific window to the Yammer Communities app. With the ability to pop out the Communities app, you'll have quick access to Yammer. A simple Alt-Tab on your keyboard allows you to quickly toggle to and from the Communities app. We want to make it even easier to create beautiful looking sites in SharePoint that include dynamic and engaging conversations from Yammer. Let's say you want to create a CEO connection site for your employees to see news and events and also engage in conversations with their colleagues across the globe. With our new site templates, you can transform existing SharePoint sites into engaging leadership sites that bring together your news and Yammer conversations into one place. These templates will be available for SharePoint communication sites and for team sites that are connected to your Yammer communities. The corporate communicators in your organization spend a lot of time carefully crafting news and information, and they want to be able to easily distribute and amplify that news on Yammer. After you've created your SharePoint news article, you'll be able to quickly and easily share it to Yammer. Type any additional comments you might have and post it to your selected community. This is a super convenient workflow that your Corp Comms friends are going to love. While we'd love for all of you to be using our native Yammer web part for SharePoint, we know that there are some of you that have intranets that are powered by something other than SharePoint. And perhaps you've been using Yammer Embed to bring Yammer conversations to those sites. Well, we want to make sure that you all are able to experience all the goodness of the new Yammer as well. Our new and improved Yammer Embed lets you ask questions, post a poll, praise a colleague, or even add rich text to your post. Attach files and access your most recently used list. You'll also notice that the new Yammer Embed also brings in the pin conversation from the community. Reactions are a native part of the embed experience. Images and video render beautifully in the feed. There's unique post types like praise and poll and questions displayed just like they would in Yammer. We hope you love the added richness that we're bringing to Yammer Embed. Earlier this year, we brought a revolutionary integration of Yammer into Outlook Web, Desktop, and the mobile app. We've seen tremendous uptake in the Outlook integration in particular. You're using the power of an announcement and the reach of Microsoft Outlook to communicate with your employees like never before. We're excited to make the Yammer integration in Outlook even more rich. Soon, we'll be bringing Yammer reactions to Outlook on the desktop, and even on mobile as well. Let's take a look at the Outlook mobile experience. I can read this Yammer question, and I see the thread in the body of the Outlook message itself. And just like on the desktop, I can react to messages right in Outlook. And we're not stopping there. The Yammer Discovery and Daily Digests are also key levers in helping your employees see what's happening across your Yammer network. We'll be updating these email digests to reflect the new Yammer, and they'll also soon be fully interactive, just like your other email notifications.
One of the advantages of choosing Yammer is that it's truly an enterprise product built on top of the security and compliance foundation that's provided by Microsoft 365. And so you can be assured that Yammer can meet your IT security needs, compliance needs, and identity management needs with Yammer. I'm going to talk through a couple of the capabilities that we have in this area and some enhancements that are coming soon. Yammer has long had the ability to have external communities. These are communities where you can have members who are outside of your company. So people frequently use this when they want to include partners or maybe franchisees or even customers in a Yammer community. Now in the past, the way that those guests signed into your network was a Yammer specific sign-in experience. But going forward, Yammer is going to take advantage of Azure B2B to enable guest access in Yammer. And what this means is you can manage the security and the policies for this guest access the same way in Yammer as you do in other places in Microsoft 365. So I want to show what this will look like for end users who are guests in Yammer. So here I'm in Contoso, and we have a sales best practices community where we enable external members to join. And one of the things that you can see is it's clear that this is an external community. So somebody who posted recently, you can see they are marked as external. In the list of communities on the left, you get that globe icon, which indicates that this community has external members. So I'm going to go ahead and invite an external member, though, to this community. And I can do that simply by typing in their email address. So I'm inviting somebody from Fabricam to join our external community. Now what they receive is an email in Outlook asking them to join in this community. And when they click on that button to join the community, they're going to go through a sign-in experience. And then once they get through that sign-in experience, they're going to land themselves in this external community. So what they're going to see as a guest is this one community out of the Contoso network. And we also make it clear they're visiting the Contoso network. Here's the community that they're visiting. The top at Office 365 still says Fabricam because, of course, they are signed in as a Fabricam user. But we make it clear that they are actually right now interacting with a Contoso community. So you can get a sense of what that experience will look like for a guest user coming into a community. And what we'd really love you to do is join a preview that we're working on for this right now. So there's a link below to join that preview. But we think you'll really enjoy the benefits of using Azure B2B for this external guest access. Really letting you set these common policies across all your Office 365 apps and giving kind of full control for compliance for those scenarios. Getting into native mode for your Yammer network is really key to unlocking the security and compliance capabilities in Microsoft 365. What native mode does is it ensures that all of your Yammer communities are connected to Microsoft 365 groups so that you can manage those groups and apply policy in the same way that you do all your Microsoft 365 groups. It also ensures that all of your files in Yammer are actually stored in SharePoint. So all of the security and compliance and e-discovery capabilities of SharePoint will apply to the files that are coming in through Yammer. Lastly, once you're in native mode, you can host live events in every community and really get the full functionality of Yammer's integration with Microsoft 365. So all new organizations created in Yammer from this point forward are actually already created in native mode. But we provided this tool at the beginning of 2020 to help existing organizations migrate to native mode. And this tool is available to Yammer administrators. Now, we've been continuing to improve this tool throughout the year by optimizing the alignment and error reporting to be clearer on what changes are being made when you run this tool. We're also been expanding this tool to larger and larger customers, including all customers up to 75,000 users. And then even larger customers can schedule a native mode migration through support. Now, once you're in native mode, that unlocks e-discovery. E-discovery is a capability that's provided as part of the M365 Security and Compliance Center. And it allows you to discover your Yammer content in the same way and even in the same searches that you can discover email or SharePoint files. You can then also apply legal hold on that content that you know might need to be retained for legal purposes. So e-discovery is fully available now once you're in native mode. Now with advanced e-discovery, when you search for Yammer content, that content can then also be viewed in the same format and the same way that it would be viewed in Yammer with something we call conversation reconstruction, where we provide and build the entire conversation content and context around what you are discovering. Communications compliance is another security and compliance capability that's unlocked after you're in native mode. And what communications compliance enables you to do is configure policies that help automatically identify offensive language or sensitive information that might be posted in your Yammer network. It applies a machine-based learning mechanism in order to alert you of any potential issues. And then it provides a unified console where you can review and take action across all of your properties in Microsoft 365. So I talked earlier about report a conversation, which is more of a manual mechanism for individual users to report something in the network that might be inappropriate. This is kind of a counterpart to that really identifies that kind of content more automatically. The last compliance capability I'm going to mention today is data retention. This isn't available yet today. This is something that we're still working on for Yammer. But what data retention will do is enable you to apply data retention policies to Yammer similar to other data sources and really manage the lifetime and retention of Yammer content. So you'll be able to set both minimum retention policies and maximum retention policies on Yammer messages.
Well, we've covered a lot, and we want to make sure that you have some understanding of when some of these new capabilities might land. We're wrapping up Q3, and some of these things have already started to show up in your networks. Things like featured conversation and some of the new question and answer capabilities. Some have started to light up in a preview mode, like reactions and Yammer Embed for some of you. Soon you should see some of the improvements around live events and the collapsed pin post in a community. When we get into Q4, you can look forward to things like post on behalf of, priority announcements, Yammer notifications in Teams, and the great SharePoint updates. The ability to moderate conversations in a Yammer live event. And I'm really excited about the upcoming topics improvements and the integration with Project Cortex. And from a compliance perspective, in Q4, we plan to make Azure B2B guest access and data retention available. I'm going to turn it back over to Jason to give you a sneak peek at a few more things we have up our sleeves.
While Steve has shared our roadmap for the next couple of quarters, I want to give you a peek ahead on some of the things that the team is working on even past that. The first of these is nested replies. With large conversations, sometimes it can be challenging to follow the entire reply structure of the conversation. And with nested replies, it'll be very clear who is replying to what, and you'll be able to follow individual threads of that conversation much more easily. Next is official communities. With official communities, you can indicate what communities in your organization are really the kind of sanctioned top-down communities versus the organic communities within the organization. We also plan on building an enhanced first run and community join experience that will help new members find the communities that they should be a part of so that they can participate in Yammer more quickly. With trending topics, you'll be able to see those topics and tags that are trending in your organization. We're looking at doing this both at the network level as well as what's trending in a particular community. Now, we talked about introducing reactions earlier in the presentation, but there's two things here that we want to follow with quickly. First is enabling reactions to be more inclusive through inclusive reactions. And inclusive reactions enables people to choose a skin tone that they feel represents them best when they react. Secondly, customized reactions enable you to customize certain reactions to reflect the company culture or perhaps a campaign you're running with a customized or branded reaction for your organization. Now, I want to take a second to talk about desktop Yammer. Many organizations have found using desktop Yammer to be a great way to get employees to engage with Yammer. But the desktop Yammer experience is the legacy Yammer experience and doesn't reflect the new. And so I want to talk about how we're really taking that forward in the future. In the future, there's going to be two great ways to get a Yammer experience on your desktop. First of all, through the community app in Teams, which is available now. You can add that app into Teams. You can deploy it centrally as well. And it provides a Yammer experience embedded right in Teams with, of course, the easy ability to launch that Teams app and get right to it. You can also, once in Teams, pop out this community's experience to its own window. So that's one way you can get Yammer in a desktop app experience. The second way that we're working on now is to enable the new Yammer web experience to be a progressive web app. And what this means is that you will be able to install that web app locally through the browser. It can sit in your taskbar at the bottom. You can launch it on your own. And even more importantly, that app will give you access to notifications in Yammer, whether or not you actually have Yammer open. So through either the Communities app in Teams, which also gives you notifications for Yammer, or the Yammer Progressive Web app, you'll be able to get a great Yammer desktop experience in the future. Now, I talked a little bit earlier about external groups, but I also wanted to mention external networks. So external networks today, we are working on supporting that in the new Yammer experience. We know these networks are important for organizations that support their customers through these networks or connect with other companies through these networks, support maybe their franchisees through external networks, and we want to bring that forward to the new experience as well. So you'll see that in Yammer in the future. I want to thank everybody for joining today and learning more about the Yammer roadmap and where we're heading in the future.
Yeah, we're really excited about our direction. We hope you are too. A lot of the things that we're working on are very much informed by your feedback and your input, so please continue to let us know areas in which we can improve. And we look forward to seeing you next year, wherever Ignite might be. See ya.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Jason.
Bye, Steve.